It is time once again to witness democracy in action. Hello UWA Elite fans, I'm the man of 1,000 spreadsheets, MC Hale, here to finally reveal what stipulations you voted for. Yes, it's iWrestle, it's the most interactive event on the UWA Elite calendar, and it's happening this Saturday, September 13th. Doors open at 6 p.m., bell time is 6:30, and after our stint at the Middlesex County Fair, we are back home at the UWA Elite Army Base at the South River VFW, 31 Reid Street in South River, New Jersey. We've got show-stopping matches in store, and while we might not be musical idols, if you'd like to dress the part, well, we don't mind. We'll share the spotlight with you a little bit. Now, what do I mean when I say most interactive? Well, we asked you, the fans, to choose in some cases between stipulations, rule changes, types of matches, or between actual wrestlers. Who do you want to see in this match? Now, quick peek behind the curtain, it is currently 12:48 a.m. on Monday morning, and voting ended just a little less than an hour ago. We've been waiting to record this so I could plug the numbers in, but because some of these votes were so close, I actually have two different segments prepared for some of these matches. And now, with any further ado, before it all happens on the big stage, let's see whose names will be up in lights for iWrestle. So let's start out with the UWA Elite Championship match. Now, this is the one you've all been clamoring to get the results of. So as you are very aware by now, last month the Dynamite Davis Memorial Tournament concluded at Crossroads with the victory of one explosive Eddie Thomas. Now, Eddie was not only the last man standing in a 16-man, 5-day tournament, but that last match was a 4-way elimination that saw Thomas hit BT Bull with 3 detonators, finally putting away the last remaining member of the contingent, and claiming not only the tournament victory, but also a match, this match, against UWA Elite Champion Eric Corvus, with your vote deciding if it will be a Falls Count Anywhere match, exactly what it says on the tin, pinfalls and submissions are legal inside the ring, outside the ring, in the middle of Reid Street, wherever. Maybe it would be an I Quit match. Force your opponent to give up, whether it be through a submission, a knockout, or just offense so relentless they can't go anymore. Or a tables match. The only way to win is to put your opponent through a table. Now, while Eddie and Corvus have certainly crossed paths over the last few years, they were all kind of tangential. Eddie Thomas was allied with wrestlers like Flash Carter and Jay Evans, who were feuding with guys that Corvus was allied with, like the Contingent. We saw in their sit-down that there is a real friendship between Eddie and Eric, and to maintain it, they've sort of agreed to stay out of each other's way in UWA Elite. As a matter of fact, the last time these two were truly at each other's throats was back in April of 2021, my first event with UWA Elite, by the way, when it was the Iron Man Championship that was won by Eddie over Eric. Yeah, despite Corvus's claim that Eddie isn't on his level, the spreadsheets didn't miss that Thomas does have a championship victory over Corvus. But now it's 4.5 years later. It's the big belt, the UWA Elite Championship. And the man who holds that, he reformed the contingent, and he isn't about to let history repeat itself. He's put too much work into lining up all of the pieces, all of the dominoes. He was the surprise new member of what was then Nicholas K. Associates. He was the contingency plan that eventually personified the faction. He led the revolution against Nick K that split the group into Corvus and Bull against Ty and K. And he reformed the contingent with the pieces that he needed to win and keep the title belt he now wears. The intensity of powers, the adaptability of Ryan T, and the sheer dominance of Bull. But with those other 3 members in a high-stakes match of their own, will that leave the door open for Eddie? See, Eddie gets his strength from you, the fans. He has been his most explosive when he feels the UWA Elite Army behind him. Now, with Pretty Freaking Ugly, alongside the shot callers, taking on King Tech, and with half of the fairgrounds watching and cheering him on in the Dynamite Davis tournament. And what have you, the fans, voted to be the stipulation for UWA Elite Champion Eric Corvus against I-Champion and Crossroads winner Eddie Thomas? Well, 46% of you decided that this Saturday at iWrestle, your main event's winner will be the one who puts his opponent through a table. Now, while this next bit isn't technically a match, it is something that could easily be billed as a co-main event, possibly even the main event. Jeff Cannonball. Honestly, I could just stop at that name and start selling tickets. Alongside Brandon Kirk as one half of the Rogues, Cannonball held the UWA Elite Tag Team Championship for 470 days, which is still the longest single tag team title reign in UWA Elite history. And in June of 2024, 10 years later, an eternity in professional wrestling by the way, Jeff joined up with the X-Express to tack on another 120 days of tag team gold. And even the times when championships and even just regular old victories eluded his grasp, Cannonball has been a consummate entertainer. Seriously, I challenge you right now, pause this video, but, come back right after, and find a random Jeff Cannonball video on YouTube, a random Cannonball match. I dare you to look away, to not be captivated by his dedication to entertaining you, all of us, the fans. From the most extreme hardcore deathmatch to the incredibly silly crowd participation in gimmick matches, there has never been any doubt about how much Cannonball loves wrestling and how much wrestling loves him right back. At iWrestle this Saturday, we will be honoring not only his UWA Elite legacy, but also his legacy across the world of professional wrestling, as we induct the Deathmatch Vegan, King Ugly, Jeff Cannonball, into the UWA Elite Hall of Fame. Now, with the tall order of inducting Cannonball into the Hall of Fame, who did UWA management call on for this task? Well, if we're talking about a legendary tag team wrestler, why not bring back the most decorated tag team in the company's history? The Bro-Team Pack, Mike Seaway and the returning TJ Blade, will have the microphone for what promises to be a night to remember, September 13th at iWrestle. For 590 days, he was officially a UWA Elite champion. And for eternity to come, Jeff Cannonball will forever be a UWA Elite Hall of Famer. Now, while I do think the honor of inducting Cannonball into the Hall of Fame would be a lot to handle, the absolute best kind of burden, UWA Elite management are extending the invitation to the Bro-Team Pack to remind the UWA Elite Army just why they are the most decorated tag team in our company's history. You see, the last time we saw Blade and Seaway in the ring together, Seaway was ending Blade's career. Before joining up with the contingent, Chris Powers used his role as leader of the Old Guard and orchestrated the destruction of Blade and Seaway's professional and to a large extent personal relationship by pitting them against each other at Dangerous Uprisings early this year in a loser leaves UWA match. Well, as they say, time heals all wounds, and we saw a somewhat cautious reunion between the two as they discussed the Hall of Fame induction and a little something extra that Seaway just found out. If it truly is bros till forever, then why not accept UWA Elite's invitation to take a run at the tag team titles one more time? It's not a given, not by a long shot. I mean, the Do or Die Posse have had a stranglehold on the championship belts ever since the team of KTB and Robbie Roller, alongside frequent supplier of chairs, Cypress, defeated Pretty Freaking Ugly for the titles back in April. The Hunter and the King of the Barons have, honestly, I feel like I'm just repeating myself every month now, they have carved a path of destruction through UWA Elite's tag team division, taking on all comers. There have been some dominant tag teams in this company, and a mere 5 months into their title reign, I'm already wondering what team, if any, will be able to take them down. From the Golden Ticket victory to the cash-in that brought them the titles, victories over Pretty Freaking Ugly, the Diligent Enterprise, the Shot Callers, maybe it'll take a team with the pedigree of the Bro-Team Pack to forcibly remove those belts. Then again, maybe the Do or Die Posse will just continue to steamroll the competition. It's Roller and KTB alongside Cypress, the UWA Elite Tag Team Champion Do or Die Posse, putting their titles on the line against the team reforming for one more set, Mike Seaway and TJ Blade, the Bro-Team Pack. The Mountaintop, the Faction Killer, the UWA Elite Iron Man Champion, Jungle Jim Wilder. Wilder's on a quest to become the winningest Iron Man champion in our company's history, and at iWrestle, the opponent you voted for will be the man standing in Wilder's way. Now I'm going to go right to the results for this one, and you'll find out why in just a minute. Your choices were split between 2 UWA Elite rookies, fresh from the Middlesex County Fair, and 2, maybe not both veterans, but certainly both established names on the UWA Elite roster. Your choices were newcomers E-Money Millie, Yosifer L., and the much more familiar Michael Massacre and Ethan Promise. All 4 offer a unique challenge for Wilder, but with a landslide 58% of the vote, you chose the investment, E-Money Millie. Now, while one might have expected familiarity to win the day, this isn't the most shocking of results either. There's a reason Millie was signed to a UWA Elite contract following his second year with us at the Middlesex County Fair, and that's dedication. After our 2024 visit to the county fairgrounds, E-Money Millie was told that he wasn't ready to be on our roster yet, and he asked pretty much every man in that locker room what he needed to do to improve. And then he went out and he did it. Millie invested in himself. He improved by leaps and bounds. And as a matter of fact, Millie went toe-to-toe with Wilder, and there was some concern at times on the faces of Wilder fans. Now the investment claims the only reason he lost was because he had faced Joey Adams earlier, but we'll let you make up your own minds on that one. As for Jungle Jim himself, well, he's coming into iWrestle with renewed confidence. Including his matches during Fair Week, Wilder has defended the Ironman title 15 times since winning it last year at iWrestle. Yes, when Jungle Jim steps into the ring against E-Money Millie, he will be just 2 weeks short of a full calendar year since he first put that Ironman belt around his waist. Wilder says he wants a match worthy of the Ironman Championship. Millie says he's the best investment UWA has ever made. This is one you won't want to miss when Ironman champion Jungle Jim Wilder defends the title against the challenger you selected, the investment, E-Money Millie, this Saturday at iWrestle. So I said I'd get right to the results of the Ironman voting, and that is because there's a second half to that vote. At Brawl for It All coming your way Saturday, October 11th, tickets available at iWrestle and on UWAElite.com, the Ironman title will be defended, either by Jim Wilder or E-Money Millie. But they'll need an opponent. And who better to be that challenger than the one who proves himself to be just that half step better than the rest? Maybe someone who is out to prove they should have been the one to get your vote for iWrestle. Someone like Yasifer L., Ethan Promise, and Michael Massacre. Now, Ethan Promise says he's put aside his differences, or put aside everything really, with Miles Penn and Ryan Rise, and they decided to go their separate ways. Because Promise isn't turning his back on the UWA Elite Army, the fans who supported him. Now, Promise did point out that a match against Wilder would have been his first singles title opportunity, but with E-Money Millie being voted into that match and Promise receiving what must be a painful result of only 10% of the vote, will he turn up the intensity even further to guarantee an Ironman shot at Brawl for It All? Now, Massacre says the fans were given the knife to decide who carves their name into UWA Elite history. But even though he didn't get the vote, he doesn't promise or pretend. He leaves a trail of broken bodies. He's not interested in popularity, only survival. And he talked about unleashing a nightmare. But will he save it for a possible championship match? Or inflict it at iWrestle? And as for Yasifer L., he says, not much really. If there is any single wrestler, though, who embodies the phrase, actions speak louder than words, it's him. He went to war with the King of the Barons, KTB. He decimated challengers during Fair Week, and in a very short amount of time made an impression on UWA Elite management that essentially forced their hand. How do you not sign him? It's exactly that sort of inevitability that could make even Michael Massacre and Ethan Promise into temporary allies. It's Yasifer versus Promise versus Massacre. An Ironman title shot at Brawl for It All will be on the line when they face off at iWrestle in a triple threat match. And while we're on the topic of number one contender matches, we've got the Do or Die Posse defending against the One More Set Bro Team Pack in a tag title match. But if Do or Die successfully defends, then there's no rematch clause, and we would assume Blade and Seaway would again go their separate ways. But what if Bro Team wins? Then there's no real rivalry for them. Powers is with the contingent, Adams is completely free of the old guard. So how about a tag team triple threat match to decide the number one contenders for the tag belts? You voted whether you wanted the number one contendership to be decided by either standard triple threat tag rules, 2 opponents in the ring and any man can tag any other in, by lucha rules, still 2 men in the ring at a time, but if someone leaves the ring by choice or otherwise, someone else can come in without a tag being made. Or finally, a tornado tag match. The chaos is right there in the name, as no tags are needed at all, 6 men in the ring at the same time. And who are the tag teams vying for that tag title opportunity? The Shot Callers, Jay the Key Evans and Flash Carter, used to being in crowded bars and clubs, but generally speaking there's a bit less violence involved there. Although some of those Jersey Shore spots can be. Anyway, the Diligent Enterprise, Matt Vertigo and Corey Dillinger. We saw a bit of a party spirit from these two as they tried to clear their heads long enough to formulate a plan for iWrestle, especially to make sure the Lost Boys don't get the best of them again. And how about those Lost Boys? Miles Penn and Ryan Rise? They're looking a lot more like they're on the same page, whether we like it or not. Freeing themselves of their conscience, Ethan Promise, could make them too erratic, or maybe it's exactly what they needed to truly start making a bigger mark in UWA Elite. And so what stipulation will determine the victors at iWrestle? Well, in the closest vote this year with only 2 percentage points difference, 44% of you, the fans, have decided that all 6 men will be in the ring at the same time for a number 1 contender, triple threat, tornado tag team match. It's finally here. The day of reckoning has arrived. And I sounded a bit like King Tech there, didn't I? I mean, I guess it's appropriate since that is indeed the match I'm talking about, Bulldog Pittman and King Tech. There's nothing but pride and satisfaction on the line here, but oh how we've been waiting for this grudge match. Not only do we see Pittman and Tech square off, but the UWA Elite Army even got to vote on exactly what kind of twist you wanted to see on the rules. Your choices were keys on a pole. We take those iron keys that Tech has been using, suspend them above the ring, and if you can get to them, you can use them. But then again, so can your opponent. A dog collar match. A length of chain connects you with your opponent via the collar you both wear around your necks, no escape, and a pretty solid weapon too. Or the humiliation of a kiss my foot match, where the loser literally has to kiss the feet of the victor. Now, Tech alluded to each of these 3 possible stipulations in his ranting address to Bulldog. At multiple times, he showed off those iron keys that have been his literal keys to victory when applied forcefully to an opponent's head. He also talked about making Bulldog grovel at his feet, as well as being sure to mention that their futures are chained together. He told Pittman that even though Tech might not have him figured out yet, he sees that Bulldog's rage is unbalancing him, and the Red Lion was extending an extremely generous offer to become more than just, quote, a stupid animal. The Mad Queen also got a few words in, taking offense to threats leveled by Bulldog. Oh, that's right, Pittman declared that if she gets involved, he's, and again I quote, putting her down. He said Tech was lucky that Bulldog couldn't get at him at Crossroads, but now the fans will decide how he drags Tech around South River. And, as it turns out, Bulldog may be a bit of a prophet in his own right, because you, the fans, 43% of you, decided that Tech and Pittman dragging around each other around the VFW, that sounds like a pretty good idea. This Saturday at the South River VFW, the Red Lion and Bulldog take their grudge into the ring for the brutality of a dog collar match. At the top of this card rundown, I talked a lot about Eric Corvus and how he has essentially molded the contingent into something much more of his making. And there seemed to be a bit of deference in the other 3 members as Chris Powers apologized for his first round loss, Ryan T apologized for not taking the Iron Man title from Jim Wilder, and Bull hanging his head for not taking the Dynamite Davis tournament after getting to the final 2. But Corvus says he's not looking to make his teammates feel bad. He's building up the other members of their collective, pointing out that Powers led the old guard to successes, Ryan T is back in the ring as a professional wrestler again, and BT Bull defeated Ty Thomas, Corey Dillinger, and Matt Vertigo at Crossroads. And as much as I might enjoy disagreeing with the Matt mechanic, he's got a point. Or 3 points, I guess. The New Look contingent has been dictating a lot of the trajectory of UWA Elite lately, and not without making a long list of enemies along the way. Obviously, Ty Thomas, as the former 3rd member of the contingent, has numerous scores to settle for the way his exit came from the faction and continued throughout Crossroads. Joey Adams, as we mentioned earlier, parted ways with the old guard, but again, the way it happened, having his contract controlled by Powers, having to literally fight his way out of the old guard, practically crumbling it from within, ambushes from the contingent at every turn during his pursuit and defense of the UWA Elite Championship. And Sean Damage McNellis. Well, that's an interesting little wrinkle. While Damage is certainly no friend to the contingent, his run-ins have been a lot more surface level. More just wrestling competition being competition. And let me come back to that in just a second. This Saturday, we're going to see a 6-man tag team match. The 6 men that I just spoke about, Bull, Ryan T, and Powers of the contingent, against Ty, Joey Adams, and Damage. But the stipulation on this one, so much can change so quickly in this matchup. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. The winner of this match gets more than just a victory for their team. The winner, not the winning team, mind you, the individual who scores the pinfall or submission, they will get to choose their match, call their shot, October 11th at Brawl for It All. Now for the contingent, it would be maybe a bit of a test of loyalty, but I think they're all pretty solid on the concept of strength in numbers, and I'd be pretty shocked if a victory for any member of that team wasn't somehow shared among the faction. Corvus mentioned tag team titles, there's always spots in the Brawl, 2 or 3-on-1 matches, the possibilities for a group reward are numerous. But on the other side, it's a very familiar concept: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But Thomas and Adams aren't the best of friends, even after leaving their respective factions of the Contingent and the Old Guard. And as we heard from McNellis, he believes the only reason he was selected for this match is because UWA Elite management wanted to be sure the fans cheered for that team, so Damage would bring that fan excitement. So in a very unusual situation, it's the side of the fan favorites that might see a bit more friction. But then again, with so much on the line, isn't it a better idea to simply make sure the prize, whatever it may be, can't be chosen by Powers Bowl or Ryan T? Only one of the 6 participants will get to choose their own matchup at Brawl for It All, when the Contingent takes on the team of Ty Thomas, Joey Adams, and Sean Damage McNellis, with an open contract for Brawl for It All on the line. I hope you are as excited as I am to see just how your votes, how your choices, will affect each of the matches this Saturday. If you want to see it for yourself live and in person, get your tickets now at UWAElite.com for iWrestle. Ringside has already sold out, but we've got plenty of general admission seats, so you can see your wrestling idols in action. September 13th, we kick things off at 6:30 p.m. Doors open at 6 o'clock, so you have got plenty of time to maybe snag an autograph or even warm up your vocal cords a bit. While you're online getting those tickets, head over to our social media outlets for all of the late-breaking news and videos, and make sure you are subscribed to see every single supercard for free on the UWA Elite Network, powered by YouTube. The fans called the shots, and that's all that's left to do now is see just how much you have affected the course of the UWA. Until then, folks, I am the man of 1,000 spreadsheets, MC Hale, and I will see you at ringside. Did you guys see the iChampionship thing? Yeah, I thought that might be a possibility. If Eddie pulls this off, whoever wins the brawl's got some decisions to make.